Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Pazzo Gaming. Today we're going to do a spotlight on the exchanger, specifically the Redstone exchanger, and we're also going to probably touch on the creative exchanger. We do have the resonant one with here, but it's just kind of a beefed up one just in between the Redstone one and the creative one. So the exchanger is used primarily when you have an existing structure or building that you would like to replace within their type of block, without rebuilding it manually. So it's a very efficient program or tool for that. And this is how you go about and build it. So it's simply one iron ender on top, a tesseract in the middle, 2 electrium ingots on the left and right side, and a redstone flux capacitor. So the flux capacitor is actually really easy to make. However, it has multiple steps because you'll have to go through the leadstone flux capacitor and so on before that. So if you look it up, it's very easy to make. You can get through. The big thing with the Redstone exchanger, as we picked up here, we do see that it does take RF. So with that too, you have to have a method to charge it and generate it and charge it enough power. So this one holds 2 million RF within it, and it can receive about 2K RF per tick. And right now we haven't selected anything, and we'll go through the other settings in a sec. So let's get this charged up. And we're going to place it into our capacitor. While that's charging, we're going to go and build a little bit of a structure that we're going to replace with, let's go with the woolen clay here. So let's run down there. So this should be charging. Yep, and we'll let that go. And we're simply just going to build a very simple little base house here. We've got our foundation. We'll build a little bit of a wall. And we'll leave it like that for now. So that covers, actually, you know what, let's get a little bit more cobblestone. We'll just finish up this back wall. Perfect. So now that we got our cobblestone wall built, we have a little bit of a simple starting point for a house. We'll see our little device here is fully charged, so we're going to go pick it up. And let's pretend now that we want to change the cobblestone into the woolen clay. That's our goal. So first thing first, we're just going to go through the basics of how to use this. Just out here, we're going to place one block of the item you want to change everything into. So we're going to place one there. We're then going to select it. We're going to hold down Shift, which then you'll notice that there's a green box that appears around the currently selected block. So I can move it and wherever the trigger is. So I can go to this plant, for instance, and I can see that I get a red one because I'm not allowed to copy it. But I can do sand, I can do the woolen clay that we have here. We can do a whole bunch of other things. Most objects can. Most things that would have logic are out. So capacitors, engines, things like that are out, along with a lot of the simpler decoration things, such as this plant that we tried back here. So we're going to hold down Shift and we're going to right click, and that selects it. We can see that that's selected then by going into our little bar and pressing Shift, and we'll see that it says the woolen clay is selected as our source block. And then simply, now we can see when we look at anything on the ground, we see this white grid around everything. So the initial starting one is a 5x5 grid, and you can make that smaller or bigger by just simply using page up or page down just on your keyboard. So we're going to make this probably a decent size. This is approximately, probably about a 10x10 right here, pretty close. And we're just going to simply just right click then. And what this will do is take all the blocks out of our inventory that we had, place them down, and as it's placing them, it picked up all the sand in that same spot and put that back into our thing. We could simply do the inverse. We could hold down shift, select sand. We see that sand is now selected here. We're shown here as the source block. And we can again just right click and it will place the sand down wherever the blue one was. So it's a great way to very simply put down and pick up all the blocks really quick in one area. So we're going to now show how to do that with a house. So we place our blue block. We're going to go to our redstone exchanger, right click on it because that's what we want it to be. It now shows Boolean clay. Go over to our house and we're just going to start selecting the walls in our house. And within a matter of seconds, we've now changed our entire house from cobblestone to be all blue, and all the cobblestone that was down in the house is now in my bags. Coincidentally, we actually have exactly one left, but it's a very simple way to do that, and you can do that with any number of blocks and items to mix it all up together. So we can take something with some golden edged. Let's see what else we have. We got some yellow. Let's put those over. Again, we'll place one, select it, put a mouse over it, and now we can change. Maybe we just want to change the outside wall just to be red. And so it's a very simple way to do all that. We could do things like this where you could select just the top edge of everything, and this will just do the top. So now we can frame around the outside of our house. So the whole entire outside of our house now is very simply framed in the golden edge glass. And you saw how easy that was to do, going through the whole thing. So that's a little bit of a spotlight of what you can do with it. One thing too that I will bring up, if you use the creative version, changer, the creative one does not have any limitations on it. So whereas the redstone one had restrictions on how much charge it can hold, 2 million, and we had that fully charged, so you can see it used a fair bit of power. It also can only be charged at 2K per RF per tick. And there's a maximum radius, I believe, I want to say about 15 on the redstone one, whereas the creative one is about 20, 25, so it's a little bit larger that you can go to. But the creative one also doesn't take any power, so it's an infinite amount of power source, and you don't need to have the blocks in your bag space to do it. So for instance, I can go select, with the creative one, this marble over here, and I can say, let's change all the blue areas, all the blue areas just into the marble. And this will only touch the blue areas. Well, one, it converted all to marble, the blue areas, but two, you saw that it only touched the blue wool that we had there, as the tool will only move within that same type of item block. So for instance, if I select the golden edge glass, you'll notice that even though it's a square by, I think it's a 5x5 still on the ground, it only selects the golden edge glass within that area. So I can simply right click, and again, it just changed those. Now that these are all changed together though, I have to go with that. So I can go on the edge though, and I can just select the edge of it. So that's why when I built that thing, I jumped on top, and that's how we got that done. So anyways, it's a very cool tool that allows you to change the look, feel of anything object that you've built already very easily. And it's a very easy thing to get, even early game. Like I said, it doesn't take anything too crazy to get the redstone version. The biggest issue that you'll most likely have at the early game will be keeping the amount of power for it, because it does require a significant amount of power early in the game. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of a spotlight on the redstone exchanger.